I love it when they can get it. It's when they get things done that we have disaster. What is restoration in your life? And what does it look like? Joe Meintz is in today from St. Gregory's. That's what we're talking about.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here.
Let's get it started in here.
Welcome to The View from a Pew, a conversation among Christians who are out to grow their faith by asking the simple questions, the tough questions, and the stuff you really wish your pastor would talk about. Come on now, let's reason together. It's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so join the conversation. Call 855-244-0077. That's 855-244-0077. Now, here's your host, J. Michael McCoy.
All right, welcome. It is the 5th day of November in the Lord's year 2012. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and this is the Monday edition of The View from a Pew on WebcastOneLive.com and 99.3 KTIA. As always, Bob Montserrat, the cat in the hat, watching the chat in, but only for a few more days because you're taking off all next week.
Yeah. Well, I'm off anyway on the 12th. Are you?
Why? What's the 12th?
That's when we celebrate a big holiday.
The 12th?
Yeah. 12th November. Aren't
That
you
was
off?
the 11th.
What holiday do we have on the 12th?
Veterans Day. That's my day.
It's Veterans Day, but we take a Monday off.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, you mean next Monday?
Yeah.
Is Veterans Day?
Yeah, the 11th. Well,
Oh.
it's the 12th, but that's the state observes it on the...
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, are you going to take the day off?
No, I plan on working to honor the veterans.
Very
To make sure that I'm not just taking it for granted. I think I've
Very
got enough
good.
downtime because of what the veterans did.
Do me a favor and work twice as hard so
I'll
I can
do
stay
that.
home.
I'll do that. Shout out to my little brother. He just he was in town this weekend, finished special ops training. He's in the Night Stalkers, which was the group that flew in the raid team that got Bin Laden. So he came back from training all beat up and he looked terrible.
Is he at Fort Campbell then?
He went out. He's in the 4th Battalion, which is Fort Lewis in Washington.
Okay.
All right, so Bob, so you won't be here at all next week then. You'll be in disaster training in Maryland.
Right.
Why don't they just send you to New York last week?
Through Friday. Well, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know why they didn't send me.
Training facility was flooded.
Yeah.
That may be.
For those of you that don't know, Bob Montserrat, the cat in the hat watching the chat, is a forensic scientist by trade and is on the DMORT team, which stands for...
Disaster Mortuary Operational Response Team.
And so whenever there's a disaster, he's called in to identify body parts. Most recently, he was at Katrina, you were at 9/11, and you were at Flight 232 in Sioux City.
Right. We don't identify the parts, but we identify the people through the parts.
Okay. Still seems kind of
DNA, fingerprints, dental, that kind of thing.
Army Brad in the house today for his week with us. And, of course, Joe Meintz from St. Gregory's, as Monday is Recovery Monday. I think we're going to change it to Restoration Monday.
All right, then.
Today. And, of course, Father Tattoo, who promised us that if Brad joins Lutheran Church of Hope tonight at the new members meeting, that he will vote for Mitt Romney tomorrow.
And I said, you have a deal.
Yep. So one more vote for the Midster.
But I didn't agree to it. I just was joking.
You said it. You said it.
I still have the right of refusal. I can't. Brad,
don't back out. Don't back out on your word.
I've already backed out. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
goodness.
So you're aborting your promise.
To Brad, yeah, because I said it facetiously.
But I heard it also.
That's all right. I still said it with I was being facetious.
Yeah, you're full of feces. All right.
Not feces, facetious.
So anyway, tomorrow, Sarah Bowman, who is the former Polk County chair of the Republican Party, will join me along with Tom Coates. And then on Wednesday, we will have a post-election day show. Tom will be in, and also Bradshaw and I will be on together for a little bit. We decided that we did not want to begin our show. Bradshaw and I are going to be beginning to do a show again together. And we decided that it would be much better on all of our anxiety levels if we waited till after the election was over.
That's a good
Yeah.
thing.
Smart move.
Yes, I hope so. So, but I got to tell you, I woke up in the middle of the night, and it was one of those wow wake-ups, and the TV came on. Not really, but in my dream, the TV came on, and the nightly news started, and they predicted Obama the winner, and then they went to 2.5 men. And that was it. It was over within like 7 seconds. That was my nightmare, and it will be a nightmare if that's the case. But I promise I'll be a humble winner and not a sore loser should Obama steal this election. All right. Whenever we're on and we're talking about recovery, one of the things that Joe and I like to do, well, I guess I shouldn't speak for you. One of the things I like to do is to help the codependents, to help the enablers, to help those people within the family to recognize the signs that there's trouble brewing with their loved one. One of the reasons I'm passionate about this is because my family didn't know any of this. And so when I would say to my family, I think I have a problem. I think I have an alcohol consumption problem. And they'd all say, no, Dad, you're okay. Well, yeah, every once in a while you get a little goofy, but you're usually fun-loving, and, you're the guy that puts a lampshade on your head. And so, and inside they didn't realize the turmoil that I was in. So that was... That's what we usually talk about, and we'll go back to talking about that again. But today I want to kind of look at the brighter side, and I want to talk about restoration and what it means for an individual, for a marriage, for a family, for a non-related relationship, and also for your work. What it can mean to have your life restored. And Joe, you these are the success stories, right? I mean, everybody sees the beginning ones. You see them at the corner bar on Friday night, or you see them at a late midnight when somebody gets taken to St. Gregory's or to Powell or wherever they go. But you also get to see the victory stories. What are those like?
Man, I tell you, it's kind of the name of the game. And just that this is even a topic on this show has huge implications. That's the whole point of all of this, is that this can happen. When somebody's in the depths of an addiction, and when somebody's walking or watching a family member really struggle with an addiction, man, after a while it gets to a point where it's really, really difficult to honestly think it's really real that this could go away and get better. And that's an amazing thing, because that's where almost everybody starts out, is this absolute pit. And to know that, and I always tell people, look, if I could really describe to you what's truly possible for you, I would. But I understand that's not really real for you. It's not a realistic notion. It's the most difficult message for me to convey of anything. But the possibilities for someone's life, because we know that they were created by a creator who loved them, are absolutely incredible. The question then becomes, what does it look like to get there? But we have to know that restoration is the point B. It's just, what does that necessarily look like is what treatment is for.
And point A would be the bottom.
Point A is where you're at.
Yeah.
And that's another issue.
What's the old saying that if you want to... the answer is stop digging. What's the question? I can't remember. If you want
to get out of your hole, stop digging.
Yeah,
but,
if you want to get out of your trouble, stop digging yourself in deeper.
Yeah, but that's also something we see. And, it's a really good point that you brought up at first, because there's a lot of people, even people that call into us, that say, well, nothing can be done yet because we don't think that they've hit rock bottom. Mm-hmm. Well, rock bottom is just where you were the day you turned things around.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Today you surrendered.
You got it. It's got nothing to do with the circumstances or any of those things. Why would you want a deeper rock bottom than where you're at?
Right.
Especially knowing that, it's not this trampoline effect. It's not a bungee cord. We don't have to get to the end of its capacity before it has enough spring to get you back where you want to be. We're talking about where you were supposed to be in the first place, and then going back and understanding what barriers are standing in the way of that happening. So, it's really important to know that restoration comes in vast quantities without necessarily even going that far down the other way. It's just not a necessity. People's lives can be markedly better. Look at someone who's not even struggling with an addiction. when they really turn around their perspectives and take a look at what does it look like for me to live out the purposes and really utilize the gifts that God intended for me to use, look at how much better their lives can get. Some of that wasn't necessarily even struggling. So you know that there's just incredible things that can happen in someone's lives if they have a struggle like that of addiction.
Joe Mintz is our guest. He's the admission and counseling director. No, not counseling director. Admission and marketing director at St. Gregory's. If you're not familiar with St. Gregory's, go online, look up St. Gregory's Treatment Centers, and you'll find that there is an exclusive men's it's not a camp.
Campus.
Yeah. And then there's a woman's campus. The men and women are not mixed together. They have a unique approach to recovery, not only for drugs and alcohol, but also prescription drugs and things like that. I just call them habits, hurts, and hang-ups. And their success rate is one of the best in the nation. So if you've got someone struggling, call. If you know, if you know someone struggling, call. As Joe said earlier, you can't get them in on your own. Okay, there's nothing worse than dragging an addict or an alcoholic or someone who's in the middle of hurts, habits, and heartaches and trying to get them to go through treatment. I'm witnessing it right now. There's a young lady that I know, 43 years old, going through a tough divorce, drinks too much, and she was made to go to treatment. And she did the treatment thing, what do you call it? Just perfect for 4 weeks. Mm-hmm. Got out of treatment on a Wednesday. Friday night, she was drunk.
Yep.
And she's been drunk for almost 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't her choice to go. Now, she didn't fight it, but, well, she was drunk as heck. You know, and this is really sad because she's one of those 24/7 drunks.
Yeah.
Just sad, really sad. So anyway, today we're talking about the restoration and some of the promises that will come true if you take the time and realize that there could be more of a bottom for you. But the bottom that you can't control is when you commit murder on yourself. And I don't call it suicide because if you really wanted to commit suicide, you wouldn't take a year and 1,000 gallons of vodka to do it. You just go end your life. But when you continually pour alcohol, smoke crack, take prescription drugs illegally and not as they are prescribed, you are killing yourself. And you have got to find some point in which you say, you raise your hands and you look at your Almighty God and say, this is not the purpose that you created me for. Help me find what that purpose is.
But do you really think that you're killing yourself? I'm just asking that question.
No, not really. Not really. I mean, you might intellectually know that you're going down an awfully dangerous path, but the notion doesn't necessarily cross your mind because it necessarily can't. Addiction just by nature makes it that top rung on your priority ladder. I've got to get high before I can go to work, or I've got to be drunk before I can really deal with my family. All of those things, you're never really considering all of those ramifications. While you may be aware that that's kind of real, it doesn't necessarily matter. And, addiction is really a prolonged exercise and practice and justification. So you're really kind of minimizing all of those things along the way.
Right. So initially, when you're in the middle of it, you're feeling like you need to be in a normal place so you can function.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming eventually you get to a point where you may consider ending it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Because it comes, you constantly, you're getting tired of relying on that and putting forth that effort to maintain that and hide it.
The problem with addiction is sobriety, oddly enough. I mean, I can tell you from firsthand experience, I was usually okay when I was high because I had that number one need taken care of. But when you sober up, that's really when you start contemplating how bad life is. And oddly enough, the worst part, even more so, is right after you get high or drunk.
Joe Mintz is our guest from St. Gregory's. It's the Restoration Monday. I know we usually call it recovery. Today we're talking more about how your life will be restored. And some of those things important to you will be restored when you choose to surrender to your Almighty God
and allow him to make you into what he wanted you to be. Coming up next.
Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I'm administrative manager
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you going to say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're going to be listening. They're going to want to know what your challenges are. Then they're going to come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
Have you ever been told you're not a good enough Christian? Well, we have too. Join the conversation. Call 855-244-0077. Now here's your host, president of the Not a Good Enough Christian Club, J. Michael McCoy.
21 minutes after 3 o'clock on the 5th day of November in the Lord's year 2012. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and this is Restoration Monday. I know we usually call it Recovery Monday, but today we wanted to look at what life is like for those people who choose to surrender to the addiction that they have and to get help for it and then begin to restore some things in their life. First of all, make sure you vote. Remember, Democrats, you vote on Wednesday. Republicans vote on Tuesday. So you can wait an extra day. Just show up to your polls anytime after 6 a.m. And don't watch your TV Friday night because Orson Welles is doing this mock election coverage.
You mean Tuesday night?
Friday night?
Tuesday night, yeah. Yeah, kind of like War of the Worlds. It's all mock. And so if you may turn on your TV and all your national channels will be acting like that if they've got election coverage, but it's just programming.
You know, there is this thing called the Ninth Commandment, though.
Yeah, what's that?
Thou shalt not lie.
Oh, you mean like if you join the church, I'll vote for Romney?
Exactly.
There you go.
I didn't say I wasn't a hypocrite, but I'm saying we probably ought not to lie on public radio.
I will lie about... Hey, listen, any Democrat listening to me that says, oh, I didn't know that, I guess I'll vote on Wednesday, oh boy. They deserve Fruity Pebbles.
Would that be, is that lie acceptable if we call it the lesser of two evils, though?
What, the lying?
Yeah.
No.
If we say that lie, and just justify it and say, yeah, but it's the lesser of two evils to say that.
I'm not a big proponent of the lesser of two evils argument, though, either.
You mean it would still be evil?
It would still be evil.
Oh, okay.
All right, you two, calm down.
I agree.
Got two non-voters. So you're going to write in McCoy and Coates then?
I will.
Okay.
I will.
I think I'm going to take a picture of it. The only thing is I'm thinking of the ramifications down the hatch if this goes horribly bad. Maybe I don't want to have the record of that. I'd be like, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you I actually voted for.
No, I want proof.
Well, here's my thought with this,
pen,
Mac.
no eraser.
Here's my thought on this, Mac.
Cheater, pants on fire.
You know what? I think that everybody should go and vote their conscience. And so I think I should do that, and I should quietly do that.
So now you've lied about taking a picture of it.
No, I'm going to take a picture of it. You can personally see the picture so that you know it's done.
All right. He'll Photoshop that. He put a picture of his house online last Friday with a Christian flag flying, an American flag, and a McCoy and Coates thing. It's Photoshopped. None of those flags are there. Now, when I put up my Romney sign with my two flags, that's the real deal.
It is. I saw it.
It's the real deal. But no, Mr. Photoshop over here. All right.
You're just mad that I could utilize Photoshop. I'll bring that picture up for you, Joe. I'm sure you care.
I don't know how to do
Speaking of Restoration Monday, I know a lot of times restoration is a long, sometimes painful process. I got to believe that for you to have those tattoos removed off your arm in such a short notice, to restore your arm back to its regular, fleshy, beautiful color there,
because
that had to have been a painful process because that was fast.
Yeah, last Monday I had a sleeve all done because it was Honored Father Tattoo Day.
Yeah.
And, I sat in deep surgery. Actually, both my arms were dipped in acid baths.
Yeah.
And the flesh just eaten away.
Yeah.
And
it's like we didn't talk about the thou shalt not lie thing at all.
All right. I want to go back and talk about something we were talking about for just a second. And I can only speak for myself. But we were talking about whether we recognized that we were killing ourselves, whether we were harming ourselves. And I think that's the word denial comes in there. Because I don't believe anybody who's 21 years or older hasn't heard or seen an ad or had somebody say, that stuff will kill you.
Yeah.
You can't drink that way. All right. I want to propose this theory, that for those of us who have always been spiritually connected to a God greater than ourselves, which I like to call Jesus Christ, it was tougher to be an alcoholic because one of the voices that came into my head when I drank too much was the voice of God, or I thought it was the voice of God. It wasn't, but I thought it was. And it was telling me how shameful it was, what I was doing. It would be almost easier to be an atheist or a non-believer or a Catholic, because they're kind of the same. Oh, I'm sorry, did I say that, Joe Biden?
Oh, my gosh.
Anyway, and Mike and Rosemary Allison. Now I'm really sorry. My sponsors are Catholic.
Oh, my goodness.
But it would almost be easier to not be spiritually connected because you don't know better. You don't know that God has something amazing for you. You don't know that He created you for something that's specifically for His will. You don't know that you are here to take care of your body and to treat other people spectacularly. You don't know that. You're just in a bad place in your life and you choose to use alcohol or drugs or something else to mess with you. That was always the case for me, at least. Because I've always been a God guy.
Well, I'll give you a really easy way to look at it. I think you're absolutely right. One of the biggest concerns that a parent will have when they first call in or when they're really struggling with this is they are usually absolutely convinced that their son or daughter hates them because they don't come over, they won't talk on the phone, they have Christmas or Thanksgiving, they won't show up. If they do, it's late and they leave early. Everything from the outside looking in looks like that kid hates his family.
Yeah.
Well, that's not true. But what we do know is that whenever you're doing something overtly against the ethic and moral norm of the environment that you're in, and you know that the people that you're around are not, obviously also doing the same overtly disastrous actions, it makes you feel bad. When you don't do your homework when you're a kid, it doesn't feel good to show up for that class knowing you didn't do your homework.
Right.
When you mess up, it doesn't feel good at the dinner table that night, knowing that everybody else knows what's going on, and you know that they're upset with you, and you know that you're doing the wrong thing. You want out of that circumstance. And that's really what's going on with the kids that are usually perceived to be hateful. It's not the case. It's just when they're at home, they feel bad because it exemplifies everything that they know that they're doing wrong.
Yeah.
Well, those are things that are injected from the outside from your folks or your family. God's in your soul, and he's not gone when you go and hide. You can't really run very far from God. He's in you. And you always have that pull, and you always have this feeling that you are not where you're supposed to be. It's a constant nag.
Yeah.
It's horrible. So
Yeah.
I totally believe you're right.
Yeah.
So if it feels bad just being around your family and those other mere mortals, then it's obviously going to feel that much worse when you know that there's something that much bigger with that much more greater love that you're absolutely running from.
Joe Meintz is our guest from St. Gregory's Retreat Center. Today is Recovery Monday, but we've altered it a little bit to call it Restoration Monday, because we're talking about how you can be restored and your relationships and your lives can be restored. One of the most powerful things was the spiritual side of my recovery. The physical side, I mean, I hear people talk about the physical structure, you know, the desire to drink, the desire to use drugs had not been removed from them for weeks, months. Mine was very short because I immediately plugged into God. And one of the first things I learned from a good friend of mine, when I told him what God was saying to me about my drinking, he immediately stopped me and said, God wouldn't say that. Because God was telling me I was a drunk and that I had wasted last night and I had probably said something to hurt my wife or my kids, or I wasn't there for them. And this guy, Meggs, told me that God would never say any of those things to you, that God would only say how wonderful you are, how much he loves you, how he adores you, and he has a greater purpose for you than what you have now. And when I learned that, those voices in my head went away. Or if I heard them, I knew they came from the accuser. And so the sooner someone who is using or abusing can get in touch with someone from the spiritual side, whether that be a pastor or just someone that'll hold them accountable, it'll make it easier for them to recognize that restoration is just around the corner and that they can get help. Forget they need help. They can get help. You teach them how to fish rather than feed them fish. You can get help.
Yeah. That's actually pretty loaded. I'm not entirely sure what to make of the notion that so are you saying that
take your time, just unpack it. I know I got you thinking.
Yeah. You can see it spinning.
Yeah.
So would you suggest then that our God would not let us know when we're in the wrong? Or that Scripture doesn't reveal right and wrong, and that we are judged according to?
I don't know. But Scripture tells us clearly that drunkenness, abuse of chemicals or whatever, I mean, Jesus didn't use the word chemicals back then, but Scripture tells us absolutely what's right from wrong. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying, and this is just what applied to me, because that voice in my head constantly beat me down, constantly told me I couldn't get sober, I couldn't quit drinking. If I didn't have a drink tonight, I wouldn't be able to sleep, and tomorrow I'd be messed up, and I'd be too anxious, and I'd be a terrible person. I mean, this is what I heard in my head.
Gotcha.
When I
now that I agree, God wouldn't tell you that.
Yeah, and when I realized that was the accuser's voice trying to hold me down, that was the surrender that I needed. But oh no, absolutely not. We all know biblically that you should not drink, or you should not get drunk. I think that's even the phrase in the Bible. Obviously, you're not supposed to abuse drugs. I mean, it's the same thing as drunk in the Bible. So no,
No, that's not what I meant to say.
Okay, then I'm right there with you.
Glad you, because I could see you were something was spinning in your head right there, going, I don't think I can agree with this Yahoo on this.
Well, Joe, you were even saying that your folks have always been spiritual giants.
Yes.
And yet, even though they had the perfect example, you still had to make a choice, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they. You knew what they were, you knew what they believed, but you still went out on your own and did your thing.
You know, and oddly enough, what they believed, I also believed. You know, and I'll tell you that there are two, and I don't know if we were to bring in the entire sample size of the world and say this is applicable, but from my experience, there are two drastically different circumstances when someone is approaching that path of recovery. One of them involves being raised with that ethic, moral, especially Christian morale. The other doesn't. I have seen markedly different responses from a treatment experience based on one of those two criteria. And the reason I believe it to be true is it's one thing to help somebody get back to what their heart is pulling them towards in the first place because they already know those things. It's another thing to start from scratch and say, these are the things that we believe to be true. I understand you haven't experienced them yet, but you're going to have to trust me, go down this path, and you will. That's a very difficult proposition. Now, with me personally, I grew up in church. I played in the praise team. I think I started in 6th grade. And so I always had that connection. You know, unfortunately, I was high a lot of those times I played in church, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But it just, even though that was a part of my life, there was still a lot that just wasn't straightened out that needed to be.
Restoration Monday. How can lives be restored? Not only through Christ and his love, but through a great treatment center like St. Gregory's. We'll talk about that when we come back. Live on WebcastOneLive.com.
Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershad.
I'm administrative manager
I am the senior technician.
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you going to say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're going to be listening. They're going to want to know what your challenges are. Then they're going to come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me. But is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though. I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm going to take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
Enough said.
If you sit in the back pew or the front pew, it's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
4:38, 22 before the top of the 5th day of November in the Lord's year 2012. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and we thank you for listening today. Remember that if you're a Democrat, we have a special thing this year. Because there's so many people voting, tens of millions of people are going to vote. The government just announced that on Tuesday the Republicans will vote, and on Wednesday the Democrats will vote. And on Tuesday night, all the networks are going to be running like this Orson Welles War of the World stuff, fake election results. So don't pay any attention to that. Just tune to HBO. And then Wednesday, head to your polling places early on Wednesday and make sure you vote. Now remember, Republicans on Tuesday, Democrats on Wednesday.
See, and I heard it was Republicans on Wednesday, Democrats on Thursday, Independents on Tuesday.
Yeah, you heard wrong.
No, I'm pretty sure it was very clear. Independents, because they just had the Independents last debate on Sunday. And so I think it's Independent Tuesday is what we're calling it, and then Democrat Thursday and Republican Wednesday.
All right, so much for the 9th commandment from Father Tattoo.
Hey, if we're gonna just make crap up, I get to play along. Did you see I put the picture of the house up for you, Mac?
No, where'd you put it up? Oh, yes, in the background.
Yep, it's totally right there for you.
You have the Christian flag flying higher than the American flag in front of your house.
I do.
I guess that's okay.
Yeah.
All right. I want to read something for you. Now, remember that St. Gregory's is not a 12-step program. Their program is, I want to say this carefully. I say you're advanced beyond what a 12-step program is. No. It's different. Both are effective. But it is not a 12-step program. It is, I'm just going to say it's more advanced. I'm not going to say it's a better program. But I think probably penny for penny, dime for dime, it's probably a little better than a 12-step program.
Well, it depends on where you put the 12 steps in a program. As far as the 12-step thought, we're not that far off.
No.
Where we differ is on the notion of the definition of addiction. Mm-hmm. It really comes down to whether or not you believe in the notion of addiction being a brain disease or not. Right.
Because you don't believe it's a disease.
We do not.
You do not, right. And why... But what was about to fall out of my mouth was, but I don't care. Mm-hmm. I mean, I didn't grasp the 12-step program because somebody said, now
right,
it's a disease.
Right.
And you can't help it.
Right.
I don't think that applies to me anyway. I probably would have been a better St. Gregory's patient than I would have been a 12-step.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, a lot of times, the 12 steps, a lot of people go and find recovery through 12-step meetings. They go to AA or NA. They don't necessarily always go to a residential treatment program. That's where most of these things come to be.
Well, one of the things that I do like about AA, you're being distracting, Dan. One of the things I like about the 12-step program is on pages 83 and 84 of the Big Book, and the Big Book is a big blue book, which is the guide written by Dr. Bill W. back in 1934. And this is the promises, and I'm going to read them to you. And for me, when I first heard these promises, so I was probably 2-3 weeks into recovery, so just, biting my nails and doing the best I could. Somebody wrote for me, read to me the promises. And I'll be honest with you, the first time I heard them, I thought, yeah, right. Mm-hmm. And then as I lived through my recovery, they came true. Mm-hmm. And here they are. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. Now, I don't know what halfway through is, but that's what they said. We're going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity
and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. The whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them. Now, when I first heard that, I thought, boy, that'd be great. If those promises could come true for me, that would be great. And I'm going to tell you, at almost 3 years in, most of those promises have come true for me.
Yeah.
You know, the one that always, hit me, the uselessness and self-pity will disappear. I mean, for a guy who seemed pretty positive on the outside and pretty arrogant from time to time, I was pretty filled with self-pity and usefulness. You know, I didn't think I had a purpose in life. I thought I was a mistake because I was conceived out of a marriage and I was put into an orphanage. I just thought there wasn't much reason that God would want me around. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. Now, how much at St. Gregory's do you guys work on character defects and things like that, things that people will blame on why they drank or used?
Well, it really comes down, it takes a little bit different process. What we're really looking at is the ability to challenge rationality based on positive outcomes. So,
challenge, say that again.
Okay. Challenge irrationality, I should say.
Okay, challenge irrationality.
Right. So when you're drinking every day, there's a lot of things that you believe to be true that to you are. Our goal is to really help you to reevaluate how true a lot of those things really are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, what those promises to me represent is just a byproduct. The difficulty that I get into, and this is where, a lot of the, don't take this the wrong way.
I won't.
But I kind of look at some things, and it's probably a little bit irrational in and of itself. And this is where I really get into the war of the words with a lot of, big AA guys. But I think that by rephrasing what Scripture taught us in Sunday school into those promises and attributing it to a new book or a series of steps borders on something that we need to be very careful of in the idolatrous realm. I think we need to be really careful on, because those 12 steps don't lead to those promises. God does.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I think that we need to be really careful about, taking things about life, secularizing it, and then repackaging it into something that is non-secular.
But it does say we will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves.
Why? Because of following the 12 steps. I
didn't see it that way, because I'm not a hardcore 12-stepper.
A lot of times it comes out, it may be a little bit overblown and, somewhat irrational in and of myself, but I do think that it is something that we need to be careful of. And that's also something about our recovery program that we try to be very, very careful of, is making sure that, look, the things that are happening in our program, those in and of themselves are not great things. The only things that we're really looking to implement are things that can help you understand the gifts in order to illuminate the giver. That's really the goal. And that's where we think that the real serenity comes from. It's not from being sober. It's not from working our individual process, or it's not because of something that we've done. We're just trying to help you reevaluate where you are and where those really line up. But they do the same things. It's the same desired endpoint. But I think we just, at least me personally, and I may not be fully speaking on behalf of St. Gregory's with this, but it is something that we want to be careful of.
Yeah, and I recognize that too. I mean, if to some people their greater power does become the group, and that's wrong.
Yeah.
That's wrong. You've gone all this way and you have fallen short. All right, we'll be back live with Joe Meitz from St. Gregory's Retreat Centers as we talk about Restoration Monday live here on webcastonelive.com. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
It's like they want to get hit.
Need a body shop?
Minor Wreck Express saves you time and money.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Come on now, let's reason together. The phone lines are open, and it's your voice we want to hear. So call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
All right, 10 before the top and the Salem Radio Network news, and then True Blue, hosted by Michael Mudloff from West Presbyterian Church. And I think he's got 2 more days left on, or maybe 3 more days left on the political side. If you've been listening to that was a good series. Kind of talks about the responsibilities that we have as a Christian to and why we're voting. Do me a favor, Brad, would you answer that? And if it's the guy supposed to be calling us in, give him this number, please. All right. Joe Meitz is here from St. Gregory's. We usually do what we call Recovery Monday. We're calling this Restoration Monday because we're talking about the things that come out of a life of sobriety, whether that be from prescription drugs, whether that be from alcohol, whether that be from recreational drugs. The point of the matter is that everybody has a different place that causes them to hit bottom. And when I explain my bottom to some people who are hardcore alcoholics, they don't make fun of me, but they just laugh at me because, they were 24-hour-a-day drinkers. And so it's important that I think for the last couple minutes here, because then we've got a phone call coming in, Joe, for you to share with people some of the beautiful sunlight of restoration that you've experienced with other people who've gone through St. Gregory's program.
Man, I tell you, a lot of it comes down. It's always surprising. It's really a misunderstanding of the expectations that a lot of the family members usually have that'll be a result of treatment.
Yeah.
Yes, sobriety is a great goal, but it's not the goal. We accomplish sobriety by really focusing on the bigger picture. It's like, look, obviously drinking's a problem, drugs are a problem. What is that? Why is that such a problem? Well, because it's keeping you from getting where you really ought to be.
God wants you to be.
You got it.
That's right.
That's really what we focus on, and we don't even have to say, where does God want you to be? All we really have to do is start evaluating, helping people really evaluate, what are your gifts? let's really explore some places where you've really found some fulfillment, or at least fleeting hints of fulfillment.
And this is part of the restoration.
It's part of the restoration
treatment
process.
at St. Gregory's.
I mean,
yeah.
and that I believe is really what actually happens.
Yeah.
As part of any restoration
Self-value.
process. You bet. You're starting to see these things, and when you find out, a little bit more about what direction you need to go because you're being called to go there, then all of a sudden drinking and drug use becomes much less of a problem.
Yeah.
And that's really our goal.
Especially with God in the middle of it.
You got it. Then.
Joe, thanks for coming in today. We'll see you. We got to decide whether we're going to have a show next Monday because it's Veterans Day. So maybe Brad, you should do the show.
Maybe.
All right. Joe, thanks for coming in. Remember, we're not able and open to talk to you. We want you to call us off the air, just conversations about you or someone you're concerned about, and let's get those folks into a Christ-centered life. All right, I want to go to the phone real quick. Tomorrow is Election Day, and John is on the line with us. And John, you've got some great stuff coming up with election tomorrow. Tell us about it.
Hey, Mac. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I am working with FNIB, which is the National Federation of Independent Business, and Small Business for Sensible Regulation, to talk to folks about what the current regulatory environment is doing to job creation and doing to small businesses who generate over 2/3 of the new jobs that our economy creates every year.
And that's something that the small business folks like you are helping other people understand.
Absolutely. That you think about regulations and you think about the way it's usually talked about in the world of politics, and it shouldn't be a political issue. It shouldn't be a partisan issue, but it's made one in that, guys that don't want to talk about regulations, we're all running around, we're trying to do stuff we shouldn't do, we're trying to, pollute the environment and create unsafe work environments. And the absolute opposite is the case. What small businesses need are fair, sensible regulations. Right now, the regulatory burden in this country forces us to spend $1.75 trillion just to comply with federal regulations, just to stay in line. And it affects small businesses disproportionately. If you're a company with fewer than 20 employees, it costs you $2,800 more per employee to comply with regulations than big companies.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Well, I just want to make sure people, we're not talking about safety issues. We're not talking about taking the FDA out of checking meat. We're not talking about OSHA pulling out whether, you have to wear a hard hat. We're talking about some really, and as a small businessman, most of my life, I know exactly what John's talking about because this stuff will strangle you. And in the end, you talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, one of the reasons they get out of business for themselves, government regulations. Just too much.
You're exactly right. And let me give you one example of a regulation that's being proposed right now, a change to regulation that illustrates your point. There's a current OSHA rule that deals with engineering and administrative controls for noise, which is a fancy way of saying if you have loud equipment, make sure you're not hurting your employees' hearing. And it's a rule that's been on the books for 30 years. It's pretty simple. It says if you have loud equipment, try to put it in a room or isolate it so that it doesn't, hurt your employees' hearing whenever it's economically feasible.
Right.
And if you can't build a room around it, make them wear earplugs.
Yeah.
It's a really straightforward, simple rule. They're proposing to change that rule to say that you have to buy new equipment or build a room around it when the cost of doing so does not threaten the employer's ability to stay in business. Which means that the way they're proposing to change the rule, if I could lay off 10% of my workforce to buy a new piece of equipment or build a room around a piece of equipment that's not causing any hearing damage to anybody, that's been running and, we have guys wear earplugs and it's fine, I should do that. I should fire 10% of my workforce to build a room around a piece of equipment that's not hurting anybody.
That's craziness.
It's not common sense.
Yeah, it's craziness. All right, so how does this information that you've shared with us today help us determine how we vote tomorrow?
It's just one more data point for you to consider, especially when you consider that the current administration has put in place 4,100 new regulations are being proposed.
4,100.
That will cost the economy $500 billion. And, I know our friends on the Republican side have made helping small businesses one of the 5 points, Mitt Romney's plans to bring America back. So Again, it's just informing folks. It's another data point, and it's an important thing to consider as we head into vote tomorrow.
All right, John, those of you fighting for small businesses across the nation, we owe you a debt of thankfulness that you're there fighting so many jobs can be saved on Main Street, not just in Washington.
Hey, we're ready to go to work to put the country back to work.
All right, John, thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right, that's John from the Small Business National Small Business Federation. It's so important to think about small businesses, but I think that what's been said on this program over the last couple of months as we've neared the election is the most important. Vote your conscience. Don't vote because I told you to, because I'm not that smart. Don't not vote because somebody said something you agree with. Just pray. Go into prayer and ask God what he wants you to do tomorrow in that polling booth. And then vote your conscience. Vote what God wants you to do.
And then vote what you promised. So
yeah.
I'm just going to vote my conscience, guys.
And your promise. Keep your promises.
All right, tomorrow's a big show. We'll see you back here tomorrow. And remember, just pray.